You think your ego protects you. It doesn't. It imprisons you. And the most disturbing part is this. You may have spent your entire life decorating the prison, defending the prison, and calling the prison me. Every time you need someone to respect you, your ego tightens the bars. Every time criticism ruins your mood, another bar appears. Every time you feel the need to prove that you are successful, intelligent, attractive, important, or right, you give something outside yourself permission to control your inner state. You call it ambition. You call it self-respect. You call it identity. Schopenhauer would have called the mechanism something much darker: endless striving. Think about the last time someone ignored you. Nothing physical was taken from you. Your money remained. Your home remained. Your body remained. Your future remained. Yet something inside you changed instantly. Why? Because your ego believed your status had been threatened. Now consider something even stranger. What if the person you are desperately trying to prove yourself to does not even matter 5 years from now? What if the argument you cannot stop replaying in your head is already forgotten by the other person? What if the achievement you are sacrificing your peace to obtain will eventually become normal? And what if the desire you believe will finally make you happy is simply preparing the next desire? This is where Schopenhauer becomes dangerous, because he does not merely ask how to become stronger. He asks whether the part of you demanding strength is itself the source of your suffering. In the next few minutes, you will see why your ego needs an audience, why desire can keep you psychologically poor even when you become materially rich, and why some of the people who look the most independent are actually controlled by something invisible. But there is one idea I am saving for later. It may completely change the way you understand freedom. Because real freedom does not begin when you finally get everything you want. It begins when you discover why you wanted it in the first place. And once you see that mechanism clearly, you may realize something far more unsettling. The person you have spent your entire life trying to become may be the very person keeping you from being free. Number 1. The prison you call yourself. You think freedom means getting what you want. More money, more respect, more attention, more control. But Schopenhauer would have asked a far more disturbing question. What if the thing demanding all of that is the very thing keeping you imprisoned? Most people spend their entire lives trying to improve the conditions of their cage. They decorate it. They make it more comfortable. They make other people admire it. Then they call themselves free. Your ego does something even more subtle. It convinces you that every desire is your own idea. You think you chose the career, the relationship, the status, the image, the lifestyle. But how many of those choices were made because you genuinely wanted them? And how many were made because you wanted to be seen as someone who wanted them? That distinction changes everything. Because once you notice it, you begin seeing strange patterns everywhere. The executive who cannot stop working even after becoming wealthy. The person who checks social media every few minutes, not for information, but for evidence that they still matter. The politician who wins an election and immediately becomes terrified of losing the next one. And then there is the most dangerous loop of all. The more you satisfy the ego, the more the ego demands. Schopenhauer believed human existence was deeply entangled with endless striving, but there is a way to interrupt that cycle. And the first step is discovering why your mind hates silence. Number 2, your ego needs an audience. Imagine waking tomorrow with everything you currently possess, but nobody could see it. Your achievements would remain. Your money would remain. Your intelligence would remain. Your appearance would remain. But nobody could praise you, envy you, fear you, or recognize you. Would those things still feel equally valuable? That question exposes something uncomfortable. The ego does not simply want possession. It wants confirmation. It wants a witness. A modern social platform is almost a perfect laboratory for this. You post something. A number appears. 10 likes, 50, 500. Your emotional state shifts without anything in the physical world changing. Your house did not become larger. Your intelligence did not increase. Your life did not suddenly improve. Only the reflection changed. Schopenhauer understood the danger of confusing the reflection with reality. The ego constantly builds a character and then becomes terrified that someone might discover the character is only a performance. This is why criticism can hurt more than failure. Failure attacks what happened. Criticism attacks who you believe you are. And once identity becomes something you must defend, freedom begins to disappear. But there is an even stranger problem. Sometimes the ego does not need praise at all. It can survive on hatred, outrage, and opposition, which means your enemy can become just as important to your identity as your admirer. And that leads to a question most people never ask. What happens when you stop needing anyone to validate the person you think you are? Number 3. Desire is never finished. A man buys the car he wanted for 10 years. For a few weeks, he feels different. He drives more carefully. He notices people looking. He imagines the life that finally begins now. Then the novelty fades. Suddenly another car appears. Faster, rarer, more expensive. The old desire becomes ordinary, and a new desire takes its place. This is not simply a problem of consumerism. It is a psychological pattern. Schopenhauer saw desire as something that keeps moving the finish line. When we lack something, we experience tension. When we obtain it, the tension temporarily disappears. But satisfaction itself does not remain. The mind quickly normalizes the new reality. Then another absence appears. Silicon Valley understands this mechanism better than most philosophers ever could. Every notification creates anticipation. Every new feature creates curiosity. Every upgrade creates the feeling that your current reality is incomplete. The machine does not need you to be happy. It needs you to remain slightly dissatisfied. And the ego cooperates because dissatisfaction gives it something to chase. But here comes the twist. The problem is not that you have desires. The problem is that you automatically believe every desire deserves obedience. That is a very different idea. Because if every impulse becomes a command, who exactly is in charge? Number 4. The identity trap. Here is a psychological experiment. Imagine 2 people receiving the same insult. The first person thinks, "That was unpleasant." The second thinks, "How dare they speak to someone like me?" The event is identical. The suffering is not. The difference is identity. The first person experienced an event. The second experienced an attack on the ego. This distinction explains why people defend opinions they privately suspect are wrong. Once an idea becomes part of identity, changing your mind feels like dying. Politics demonstrates this constantly. Technology does too. Someone buys a particular phone, follows a particular ideology, supports a particular leader, joins a particular professional tribe. Soon they are no longer evaluating information. They are defending membership. Social media accelerates the process because outrage rewards identity performance. You do not merely say what you believe. You display which tribe you belong to. Schopenhauer's insight becomes darker here. Much of what we call individuality can be a sophisticated form of dependence. You think you are expressing yourself, while secretly asking the crowd whether your expression is acceptable. And once you see this mechanism, another possibility appears. Perhaps freedom does not begin by becoming more unique. Perhaps it begins by becoming less desperate to prove that you are unique. Number 5. The experiment of disappearing. Now imagine something uncomfortable. For 30 days, you make no announcement about your plans. You do not tell people how disciplined you are. You do not explain your ambitions. You do not post your achievements. You do not correct every misunderstanding. You simply work, observe, and remain quiet. At first, the silence feels almost unbearable. You will feel an impulse to explain yourself. Someone misunderstands you, and your mind immediately constructs a defense. Someone receives credit for something you did, and your ego demands correction. Someone ignores you, and suddenly you want their attention more than before. Why? because silence removes the audience that normally stabilizes your identity. This is the pattern interrupt. You discover that many emotional reactions are not responses to reality. They are attempts to restore a threatened self-image. The ego says, "They must know who I am." Freedom whispers something very different. They do not have to know. That tiny difference creates enormous psychological space. The modern world trains you to make yourself visible. Schopenhauer's philosophy points in the opposite direction. The less your happiness depends on being perceived correctly, the less power perception has over you. But there is still a deeper layer. Even if you silence other people, you can remain trapped by the voice inside your own head.